Hello, and welcome back to Bedtime Fables. The world is growing quiet, and the moon has begun its gentle watch over the sleeping earth. It's time for us to find our own cozy place, to snuggle down and let the day's thoughts drift away like leaves on a slow, peaceful river tonight. Our story is about love, about memories, and about the quiet magic that helps to heal a heavy heart. So let your own heart feel light, and your breathing grow soft and slow as our story begins. In a cozy den near the bend of a sparkling river lived a little bear cub named Koda. Koda had a heart that was usually full of sunshine, and a spirit as playful as the tumbling water in the stream. But lately, a small, heavy cloud of sadness had settled over him, and it wouldn't seem to go away. His grandmother, whose hugs were warmer than the summer sun and whose stories were more magical than the stars, had gone on her great journey to the sky, and Koda missed her more than words could say. Every evening, he would go to the riverbank, to the special stone they used to sit on together, and he would feel very, very alone. He closed his eyes and tried to remember. He could almost feel the warmth of her big, soft paw holding his. He could almost hear the low, rumbling sound of her voice as she told him her wonderful stories. She had a story for everything, a story for why the fireflies glowed, a story for why the moon had a face, and his favorite. A story about a brave little bear who learned to climb the tallest trees. He missed her stories most of all. Now, the nights were just quiet, and the quiet felt empty and sad. As a single, lonely tear rolled down his furry cheek, he heard a new sound. It wasn't the sound of the river, or the chirp of a cricket. It was a soft, gentle, whispering sound, like 1,000 tiny voices humming a sweet, familiar lullaby. He looked up and saw that the sound was coming from the great old willow tree that stood at the water's edge. Its long, silvery leaves were swaying in the evening breeze, and they seemed to be whispering a secret just for him. Koda had seen the old willow tree his whole life, but he had never felt so drawn to it. It was as if the tree was calling to him. He wiped his eyes with the back of his paw and took a few hesitant steps closer. The whispering sound grew a little louder, and it sounded so kind, so gentle. One of the longest branches, heavy with shimmering leaves, swayed towards him, a silent, graceful invitation to come into its safe, green, and secret world. He pushed aside the curtain of long, soft leaves and stepped inside. It was like entering a secret, magical room. The world outside disappeared, and he was surrounded by the gentle, whispering sounds of the leaves. The light here was soft and green, and the air was filled with the sweet, clean smell of willow bark and river water. It was the most peaceful place Koda had ever been, and his little, heavy heart already began to feel a tiny bit lighter. He reached out a curious paw and touched one of the leaves. It was as smooth as a river stone and felt strangely warm. The moment his fur brushed against it, the leaf began to glow with a soft, golden light, a light as warm and as familiar as his grandmother's hugs. And then he heard it. Not a whisper, but a voice, clear and loving, coming from the leaf itself. With a trembling paw, he reached out and touched another leaf. This one began to glow with a soft, silvery blue light, the color of the moon. And from this leaf came not a story, but a song. It was his grandmother's favorite lullaby, the one she would hum to him as he drifted off to sleep. A song about the river finding its way to the sea. The gentle, familiar melody wrapped around him like the warmest, coziest blanket, It was his grandmother's voice. The leaf was replaying a memory, a story she had told him right here, on this very riverbank, one summer long ago. It was the story of the brave little bear who learned to climb. Koda listened, his heart frozen. In a moment of pure, impossible joy, he could hear her so clearly, her gentle, rumbling voice filling the little green space, chasing away the sad quiet. It wasn't just a memory in his head anymore. It was real, and it was here. He realized then what this tree was. It was a library of love. The old, wise willow tree had been listening for all those years, and it had saved every story, every song, every happy laugh that his grandmother had ever shared with him on this riverbank. It had kept them safe for him, waiting for the moment he needed them most. He moved from leaf to leaf, a story of a mischievous raccoon, a song about the changing seasons, a memory of them sharing a delicious honeycomb, each one a perfect, glowing treasure. Koda knew he had found a new special place. This would be his spot. He gathered a few soft, dry leaves and made a little nest for himself at the base of the trunk, a cozy bed inside the magical, whispering room. He didn't feel lonely anymore. He felt surrounded by love, surrounded by stories, and surrounded by the gentle, living magic of the forest. The empty quiet had been replaced by the most beautiful and comforting sounds he had ever heard. Tears streamed down Koda's furry cheeks, but they were not sad tears anymore. They were tears of gratitude and of love. He turned to the great, sturdy trunk of the tree and gave it the biggest hug a little bear cub could possibly give. "Thank you," he whispered into the rough bark. "Thank you for remembering." The great willow seemed to rustle its leaves in response, its branches swaying to create a gentle, loving embrace all around him. It was a hug as warm and as wonderful as the ones he remembered. This place and its magic was a secret between him and the tree. It was a special gift, a way for him to visit with his grandmother whenever his heart felt heavy. He knew he could come here whenever he was lonely, and the tree would be waiting. With a story or a song, or just the quiet, comforting memory of a love that was so big, it could never truly be gone. It was a promise that the best things are never really lost. From inside his leafy sanctuary, Koda could still hear the gentle sound of the river flowing by. But the sound was different now. Before, it had sounded like a sad, lonely song. But now, mixed with the soft whispers of his grandmother's stories. From the leaves, it sounded like a peaceful, gentle lullaby, the same one she used to sing to him about the river finding its way to the sea. The sounds of the world were beginning to feel happy again, surrounded by the gentle lights, the loving stories, and the sweet, sleepy songs. Koda began to feel a deep and profound sleepiness wash over him. It was a kind of sleepy he hadn't felt in a very long time. It was not a sad, heavy sleep, but a light, peaceful, and comfortable sleep. His little body relaxed completely, and his breathing grew slow and deep. The heavy cloud in his heart had finally lifted, replaced by the gentle, glowing warmth of 1,000 happy memories. He closed his eyes and drifted away on the river of his own dreams. He dreamt that he was floating on a big, soft leaf, down a river made of stars. And high above, his grandmother was there, not as a sad memory, but as a bright and happy constellation, her loving eyes twinkling down at him, a silent promise that she would always be there to watch over him. And all through the night, the old willow tree stood watch. Its leaves whispered their gentle stories and sang their sleepy lullabies, not just for Koda, but for the whole forest. It was a guardian of memories, a keeper of love and its quiet. Magic made the entire riverbank feel like the safest, most peaceful place in the world. Koda awoke to the sound of birds singing and the feel of the warm morning sun on his fur. He stretched his little body, a long, happy stretch that reached all the way to the tips of his toes. He had slept the whole night through, a deep and peaceful sleep without any sad dreams. He felt rested, and his heart felt light and happy. Before he left his secret, leafy room, he remembered the acorn he had been saving. He took it out and placed it carefully in a little hollow in the elderwood's roots. It was the best acorn he had ever found, a perfect gift for his new, wise friend. He gave the trunk one last, grateful pat, and then padded out into the bright, cheerful morning. As he walked home, Koda knew that he would still miss his grandmother, but the sadness was different now. It was a soft, gentle sadness, filled with all the beautiful stories and songs she had left for him. He knew now that her love was not gone. It was all around him, in the whisper of the leaves, the song of the river, and the heart of the wise old willow tree. And his own little heart was once again full of sunshine. From that day forward, the Whispering Willow became Koda's special sanctuary. It wasn't just a place he went to when he was sad. It became a part of his daily life. In the morning, he would bring a juicy honeycomb to eat his breakfast under its gentle, swaying branches. In the afternoon, when the sun was high and hot, he would nap in the cool, green shade of its leafy room. And every evening, as the sun began to set, he would settle into his little nest, his heart full of a quiet anticipation, and wait for the tree to begin its beautiful, sleepy song of memories. Tonight, he touched a leaf that glowed a pale, frosty silver. The story it told was of his very first snow. He heard his grandmother's deep, rumbling laugh as she showed him how to catch the big, fluffy snowflakes on his tongue. The memory was so clear, he could almost feel the cold, tickling sensation on his nose, and the deep, safe warmth of his grandmother's fur as she hugged him close to keep him warm after their play. The leaf didn't just show him a picture, it let him feel the warmth and the joy of that perfect, snowy day all over again. The other creatures of the forest began to notice the quiet magic of the willow tree. They would see a soft, warm glow coming from within its leaves every evening, and sometimes, if the wind was just right, they could hear the faint, beautiful echo of a lullaby drifting across the water. They didn't understand what it was, but they knew it was something special. They started to treat the area around the tree as a quiet, peaceful place, a place for calm thoughts and sleepy dreams. The tree's magic was big enough to share, even with those who didn't know its secret. Koda felt so much gratitude for his wise, leafy friend that he wanted to give something back. One day, he found a perfect, empty robin's nest that had fallen to the ground. It was so beautifully woven, a perfect little cup of twigs and soft moss. He carried it carefully to the Whispering Willow and found a safe, sheltered spot high up in its roots. He tucked the nest in, hoping that next spring, a new family of birds would find it and fill the air with their own happy songs, giving the tree new memories to listen to and to keep. One evening, he touched a leaf, the color of a deep night sky. This leaf held one of his grandmother's favorite stories, a tale about how the stars were once little, brave animals who had performed a great kindness, and, as a reward, were given a special place in the sky to shine forever. He heard her voice describe the great bear, the swan, and the little fox, and as he listened, he looked up through the gaps in the willow leaves and saw those very same stars twinkling down at him. The days grew shorter and the air grew colder. the other trees in the forest began to drop their own leaves, preparing for the long sleep of winter. The beautiful carpet of red and gold on the forest floor faded to a sleepy brown. But the Whispering Willow was different. Its magical leaves did not fall. They stayed, a soft, green promise in the middle of the changing world. A special sanctuary that would remain for as long as Koda needed it. One afternoon, as Koda was listening to a particularly funny story about a grumpy badger, he had a visitor. It was Scurry, the little squirrel who was the best listener in the whole forest. Scurry had been drawn by the soft, humming sounds and the gentle light. He peeked nervously through the leaves, his nose twitching. Koda, feeling warm and generous, gave his friend a gentle smile. He knew, without a doubt, that his grandmother would have wanted him to share her stories. He invited Scurry to come and sit with him. Then, he very gently took one of his grandmother's story leaves and held it between them. Scurry's eyes grew as wide as acorns as the leaf began to glow, and the sound of a kind, gentle bear's voice filled the air. He had never experienced magic like this. The two friends sat together for a long time, sharing the old, warm stories. Their friendship growing stronger with every whispered word from the magical leaves. The days grew colder still, until one evening, the air smelled clean and sharp in a new way. Koda and Scurry peeked out from their leafy sanctuary and saw a wonderful sight. The first snow of winter was falling. Big, soft, fluffy flakes were drifting down from a pale grey sky, covering the world in a pristine, white blanket. The whole forest grew even quieter, hushed by the magic of the falling snow. Koda felt a deep, profound sleepiness in his bones. It was the call of winter, the ancient lullaby that told all bears it was time for the great hibernation. He knew he would not be able to visit his friend the willow tree for a very long time. He gave the great, gnarled trunk one last, long hug, his heart full of gratitude. He knew the stories would be waiting for him when he woke up. And so, Koda went to his den for the long winter's sleep, and all through the cold, silent months, the Whispering Willow stood watch. Its magical leaves, protected from the frost, still held their precious memories, a library of warmth and love, kept safe and sound in the heart of the sleeping, snowy woods. And as Koda slept his deep winter sleep, his dreams were not empty. They were filled with the gentle voice of his grandmother. He dreamed of her stories, of her songs, and of her warm, loving hugs. The Whispering Willow's magic was so strong, it could even reach him in the deepest part of his hibernation, ensuring he never felt lonely, even in his long, quiet sleep. The snow melted, the days grew longer, and the warm, sweet breath of spring returned to the forest. The birds came back and sang their cheerful songs, and the river awoke from its icy slumber, its happy, babbling voice once again filling the air. And deep within a cozy den, a little bear cub began to stretch and yawn. The very first thing Koda did after waking up and giving his own mother a big, sleepy hug was to visit his special friend. He ran to the riverbank and saw the great willow, its leaves greener and more vibrant than ever. He stepped inside his secret, leafy room, and the familiar, gentle whispers welcomed him home. Koda knew that even though he would always miss his grandmother, she would never be truly gone. Her love and her stories were a part of the forest now, a part of the whispering leaves and the flowing river. And as he sat there, feeling the warm spring sun and listening to a familiar, gentle story, his heart was full, not with sadness, but with a deep and lasting and very peaceful love. And now, it is time for you to visit your own library of memories. Think of all the happy, kind, and wonderful moments from your day. Think of a hug you received, a game you played, or a beautiful story you heard. All of those wonderful feelings are kept safe in your heart, just like the stories in the whispering leaves. Listen to the slow, steady rhythm of your own breathing. Let it be as gentle and as peaceful as the whispering willow's leaves. A long, soft breath in, filling you with calm, and a long, quiet breath out, letting go of all the day's busyness. This peaceful rhythm is a lullaby just for you. The forest is growing quiet now. The birds have sung their last sleepy song, and the busy squirrels are all tucked in their nests. The only sound is the gentle whisper of the river on its way to the sea. Your own room is just as quiet now, a safe and peaceful place for you to rest. Feel how safe and warm you are in your bed, snuggled deep under your blankets. You are in your own special, cozy den, where nothing can bother you. You are completely safe, completely comfortable, and ready for a long and wonderful sleep. You can feel yourself drifting now, floating gently down, 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 dot, 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 like a single, sleepy leaf, coming to rest in the most comfortable, peaceful place. Let your body feel heavy and relaxed. Let your mind feel light and free. You are on your way to the beautiful land of dreams. The long, quiet sleep of winter settled over the forest. The snow fell softly, day after day, covering the world in a deep, cozy blanket. The river froze into a silent, icy stillness, and the wind whispered only the coldest, sleepiest lullabies through the bare branches of the trees. It was a time for the world to rest, to gather its strength, and to dream of the warmth that would one day return. And deep in their own warm, safe beds, the little creatures of the forest began their own long, peaceful slumber, their hearts full of the memories of the sunny days that had passed. And as Koda, a small bear cub with soft, honey-brown fur, slept his deep, winter sleep, his dreams were not empty or cold. They were filled with the gentle, loving voice of his grandmother. He dreamed of her stories, of her songs, and of her warm, comforting hugs. The Whispering Willow, the ancient, enormous willow tree's magic was so strong, so full of love, that it could even reach him in the deepest part of his hibernation. It sent him dreams of warm summer days, of chasing butterflies through fields, of clover, and of tasting the sweet, delicious honey from a fresh honeycomb. The memories kept his heart warm, a little sunbeam in the middle of his long, dark sleep. And all through the cold, silent months, the Whispering Willow stood watch. Its magical leaves, protected from the frost by their own inner warmth, did not fall. They held their precious memories safely, a library of love and sunshine kept safe and sound in the heart of the sleeping, snowy woods. The tree was a guardian, not just of stories, but of the little bear cub sleeping soundly in his den nearby. It stood as a silent, patient promise that spring and all its new joys would eventually return. The winter was long and quiet, but, like all things, it came to an end. A new warmth began to touch the air. The sun stayed a little longer in the sky each afternoon, its golden light melting the snow, drop by sleepy drop. The river began to stir beneath its icy blanket, and the first brave little flowers began to push their way up through the soft, damp earth, eager to greet the returning sun. A deep, sleepy stirring began in the heart of the forest, and deep within a cozy den, a little bear cub began to stir, too. Koda awoke with the biggest, longest, most satisfying yawn of his life. He stretched his sleepy paws, feeling the life return to his rested muscles. He blinked in the bright, unfamiliar light of spring. His den felt cozy and safe, but a familiar longing pulled at his heart. He had dreamed of stories all winter long, but now he wanted to visit the storyteller. He missed his wise and gentle friend, the Whispering Willow. The very first thing Koda did after giving his own mother a big, sleepy hug was to visit his special place. He ran to the riverbank and saw the great willow, its leaves greener and more vibrant than ever. As he got closer, he saw another friend. Scurry the squirrel was already there, chittering a happy welcome from one of the low-hanging branches. Koda stepped inside his secret, leafy room, and the familiar, gentle whispers of the leaves welcomed him home. Koda settled into his familiar spot and reached out to touch a leaf. It glowed with a soft, green light, the color of new life. But the voice that came from it was not his grandmother's. It was the deep, gentle, whispering voice of the elderwood tree itself. The leaf was not replaying an old memory. It was telling a new one. It was telling Koda all about the long, quiet winter it had watched over, and of its own peaceful dreams of the coming spring. The library was not just for things that had passed. It was for new stories too. Koda knew that even though he would always miss his grandmother, her love was not a memory that would fade. It was a living, growing thing, just like the great willow tree. It was in the kindness of his friends, in the beauty of the changing seasons, and in all the new stories that the world was waiting to tell him. The sad, heavy cloud that had once filled his heart was completely gone, replaced forever by the warm, steady, and beautiful light of 1,000 happy memories. And now, it is time for you to visit your own library of memories. Think of all the happy, kind, and wonderful moments from your day. Think of a hug you received, a game you played, or a beautiful story you heard. All of those wonderful feelings are kept safe in your heart, just like the stories in the whispering leaves of the willow tree. They are your own special treasures, and they will keep you warm and safe as you drift into your dreams. Listen to the slow, steady rhythm of your own breathing. Let it be as gentle and as peaceful as the whispering willow's leaves swaying in a soft evening breeze. A long, soft breath in, filling you with calm, and a long, quiet breath out, letting go of all the day's busyness. This peaceful rhythm is a lullaby, a special song just for you, and it is helping your body and your mind get ready for a deep and wonderful sleep. Thank you for listening with us at Bedtime Fables. There are so many more stories waiting to be told. If you would like to hear them, you can ask your grown-up to tap the subscribe button, so we can all meet again for our next sleepy adventure. Until then, may your own dreams be full of your most beautiful memories. Good night.